Clean this mess up. That's what people like you are for. The napkins hit Zara Williams's sneakers with a wet slap. Coffee spread across the marble floor of Geneva Airport's first-class lounge. 43 passengers watched. Some filmed. Others looked away. Helena Blackwood stood over the 34-year-old woman, manicured finger pointing down like a judge's gavel. "Well, are you going to stand there all day?" Zara knelt slowly. Her designer watch caught airport lighting as she gathered the scattered napkins. The leather portfolio tucked under her arm remained pristine, untouched. "Security!" Helena's voice carried across the lounge. "This woman clearly doesn't belong here with paying customers." 2 guards approached. Helena waved dismissively. "Just let the help finish her job." Zara's breathing stayed steady, measured. She folded each napkin with surgical precision. Have you ever been so humiliated in public that you felt invisible, while secretly holding the power to change everything? 20 minutes earlier, Zara had entered the lounge quietly. Her jeans and casual blazer drew curious glances from other first-class passengers. Helena Blackwood noticed immediately. "Excuse me." Helena's voice cut through the ambient noise. "I think you're lost." The tech executive's assistant, Maya, looked up from her laptop. Helena's company, Skyward Airlines, operated 47 routes across Europe. Helena commanded a $12.8 million annual budget. She wasn't accustomed to being ignored. Zara had been reviewing documents when Helena's coffee cup slipped during the confrontation. The collision was accidental. Helena's reaction was not. "This is exactly what I'm talking about," Helena announced to the gathering crowd. "These people think they can just waltz into spaces they can't afford." Justice Seeker 2025 went live on TikTok. The stream gained 47 viewers in 30 seconds. The hashtag airport. Karen began trending within 6 minutes. "Ma'am, let me handle this," said James Rodriguez, the lounge manager. He'd worked airport hospitality for 12 years. He'd never seen a situation escalate this quickly. Helena's voice rose. "Handle what? Making sure staff know their place? This woman bumped into me and now she's pretending to belong here." Zara stood slowly. When she spoke, her accent carried subtle European inflections. Professional, measured. "I apologize for the accident. I'll pay for dry cleaning." "Dry cleaning?" Helena laughed. "This blouse costs more than you make in a month." Maya shifted uncomfortably. She'd worked for Helena for 3 years. She'd seen this behavior before, usually in boardrooms, never this public. "Flight 447 to Geneva boards in 47 minutes, announced the overhead speaker. More passengers gathered. Phones emerged from pockets and purses. The circle widened. Travel blogger Sarah Kim recognized something familiar about Zara's posture. The way she held her hands, the careful attention to detail as she cleaned. Sarah had covered aviation industry conferences for 5 years. Something nagged at her memory. "I'm calling security," Helena declared. "This harassment is unacceptable." Security officer David Park arrived within 90 seconds. He'd handled diplomatic incidents, celebrity meltdowns, union strikes. This felt different, more volatile. "What seems to be the problem here?" Helena gestured dramatically. "This woman assaulted me and now she's refusing to leave the first-class area." Park looked at Zara. "Ma'am, can I see your boarding pass?" Zara reached into her back pocket. The movement was deliberate, controlled. She unfolded a Swissair first-class ticket. Seat 2A, Geneva to Zurich. The crowd murmured. Helena's expression hardened. "Anyone can buy a ticket," Helena snapped. "That doesn't mean she belongs here socially." The live-stream viewer count hit 312. Comments flooded in. Half supported Helena's property rights. Half demanded justice for the obvious discrimination. Maya's phone buzzed. A Google alert. She'd set notifications for any mentions of Helena or Skyward Airlines online. The algorithm had detected unusual social media activity. "Helena," Maya whispered urgently. "We should go. The flight." I don't care about the flight. Helena's eyes never left Zara. This is about standards, about maintaining order. Zara pulled out her phone. The lock screen displayed a conference badge as wallpaper. European Aviation Safety Conference, Geneva, March 2025. Maya caught a glimpse before Zara tilted the screen away. James, Park radioed the manager. Can you verify this passenger's lounge access? Rodriguez checked his tablet. She has valid first-class lounge privileges, Swiss Air confirmed. The crowd's energy shifted. Uncertainty crept into conversations. A few passengers began filming Helena instead of Zara. This is discrimination, declared an elderly man near the windows, plain and simple. She attacked me first, Helena protested. You all saw it. But the phones had captured everything. The accidental bump, Helena's immediate aggression, the thrown napkins, Zara's composed response. At Justice Seeker 2025 stream reached 1,847 viewers. Local news producer Rachel Martinez received a notification from her social media monitoring software. Stories like this could explode in minutes. Zara finished cleaning. She stood gracefully, napkins disposed of properly. Her portfolio remained under her arm, undamaged. Thank you for your patience, she said to the crowd. I hope everyone has a pleasant flight. Helena blocked her path. You're not walking away from this. I know people, important people. For the first time, Zara smiled. It was small, knowing, the expression of someone holding cards they hadn't yet played. So do I, she replied quietly. Maya's phone buzzed again. This time, the Google alert showed news outlets picking up the story. Aviation Week. Travel plus leisure. The Wall Street Journal's travel section. Final boarding call for Flight 447 to Geneva. Helena's assistant tugged her sleeve. We need to board, now. But Helena stood frozen. Something in Zara's tone had changed. The quiet confidence. The way airport staff suddenly seemed more deferential. Sarah Kim, the travel blogger, finally remembered where she'd seen that posture before. The European Aviation Safety Conference. The keynote speaker who'd revolutionized industry standards. Her blood ran cold. The lounge erupted into competing factions. Team Helena clustered near the bar, recording Zara with predatory focus. Team Justice gathered by the windows, live-streaming Helena's meltdown with righteous anger. Rachel Martinez arrived from Channel 7 News within 18 minutes. Her cameraman, Tony, had the entire confrontation recorded before security could intervene. This was exactly the kind of viral content that built careers. We're getting reports of discrimination at Geneva Airport, Rachel spoke into her microphone. A tech executive allegedly attacked a passenger, demanding she know her place. Helena whirled around. Attacked? She assaulted me! This is defamation! Maya's laptop chimed with emergency alerts. Skyward Airlines' stock price had dropped 2.3% in the last 20 minutes. The company's PR department was fielding calls from Reuters, BBC, and CNN International. Helena, please, Maya pleaded. The board is calling. We need damage control. But Helena was beyond reason. 3 months of stress from a hostile takeover attempt had frayed her nerves. This public challenge to her authority felt personal, existential. I want this woman arrested, Helena declared to Officer Park. Public disturbance, assault, whatever you can charge her with. Park looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, the video evidence shows. I don't care what the video shows, Helena's voice cracked. I know what happened to me. At Justice Seeker 2025's stream hit 4,892 viewers. The comments section became a battlefield of racial slurs and social justice rallying cries. Had Skyward Airlines began trending alongside #AirportKaren. Sarah Kim, the travel blogger, stepped closer to Zara. Recognition flickered in her eyes like a candle fighting wind. Excuse me? Sarah whispered. Didn't you speak at the European Aviation Safety Conference last month? Zara's smile remained enigmatic. I attend many conferences. The keynote on regulatory oversight, Sarah pressed. You discussed surprise inspections of airline safety protocols. Maya froze. Her Google alerts had mentioned something about aviation regulatory visits, unannounced audits designed to test real-world customer service under pressure. Flight 447 passengers, please proceed to Gate B12 for immediate boarding. The announcement sent ripples through the crowd. Helena's flight was leaving. Her assistant Maya grabbed her arm. We have to go, now. The Zurich merger meeting is tomorrow morning. Helena jerked away. I'm not running from some airport cleaning lady. But Maya was staring at her phone. The Skyward Airlines corporate chat was exploding with messages. The CEO wanted answers. The legal department was drafting statements. The insurance company was asking about liability coverage. Local news producer Jake Morrison received a tip from his aviation industry contact. Check out what's happening at Geneva Airport. This might be bigger than it looks. Jake's source worked for the European Aviation Authority. Surprise inspections were serious business. Airlines could lose their operating licenses. Entire fleets could be grounded overnight. Tony, the cameraman, zoomed in on Zara's portfolio. The leather case bore small embossed letters, EAA, European Aviation Authority. Rachel, Tony whispered urgently, look at the portfolio. Rachel's eyes widened. She'd covered aviation stories for 7 years. She knew what those letters meant. This wasn't just discrimination. This was potential regulatory suicide. Helena noticed the cameraman's focus. What are you looking at? Ma'am, Officer Park intervened. Perhaps we should move this conversation to a private area. No! Helena's control shattered completely. Everyone needs to see this. Everyone needs to understand that standards matter, that some people don't belong in civilized spaces. The live stream viewer count exploded. 12,847 people watched Helena's complete breakdown in real time. Comments flooded in from airline employees across Europe. Some supported Helena's honesty. Others shared their own stories of workplace discrimination. Maya's phone rang. The caller ID showed CEO Urgent. Helena, it's Richard. You need to take this call. Helena glanced at Maya's screen. Richard Stromberg, Skyward Airlines CEO, looked furious even through the tiny video thumbnail. I'm busy handling a situation, Helena snapped. You are the situation, Maya whispered frantically. Please, just take the call. Zara checked her own phone. A message thread with Dr. Elizabeth Mueller, Director of European Aviation Authority, showed 17 unread messages. The most recent read, Preliminary findings look concerning. Full report Monday. Last call for Flight 447 passengers. The aircraft doors will close in 5 minutes. Helena faced a choice. Board the plane and salvage the Zurich merger meeting, or continue this public battle with a woman who seemed increasingly unflappable. Pride won. I'm not leaving until this is resolved properly, Helena announced to the cameras. Some fights are worth missing a flight. Maya closed her laptop. Her resignation letter was already drafted in her head. 3 years of watching Helena's ego destroy business relationships had prepared her for this moment. Sarah Kim opened her aviation industry contacts. Her fingers flew across her phone screen, texting colleagues who covered regulatory affairs. Are there any surprise EAA inspections happening at Geneva today? The response came immediately. Can't confirm specifics, but there's been chatter about customer service audits at major hubs. Officer Park received a radio call from airport administration. We have a developing situation in first-class lounge Alpha. Possible regulatory implications. Handle with extreme caution. Helena overheard fragments of the radio conversation. Regulatory? What regulatory issues? I'm the victim here. But doubt crept into her voice for the first time. The way airport staff had begun treating Zara differently. The deference in their posture. The careful attention to protocol. Rachel Martinez sensed the story shifting beneath her feet. This is Rachel Martinez reporting from Geneva Airport. where what started as a discrimination incident may have larger implications for airline industry oversight. The words hit Helena like cold water. Industry oversight, regulatory scrutiny. The hostile takeover of Skyward Airlines suddenly seemed less important than her own survival. Tony panned his camera across the crowd. 47 passengers had become unwitting witnesses to potential corporate catastrophe. Some looked fascinated. Others appeared eager to escape. Zara remained serene throughout the chaos. She responded to text messages with surgical precision, made notes in a small leather journal, observed Helena's behavior with clinical detachment. Final boarding call. Flight 447 doors closing in 2 minutes. Maya made her decision. I'm boarding the flight, Helena, with or without you. She gathered her belongings and walked toward the gate. 3 years of loyalty ended with the click of her laptop case. Helena stood alone now, except for the cameras and the crowd and the woman she'd tried to humiliate. The woman who watched her with the patience of someone accustomed to observing airline operations under stress. You're going to regret this, Helena said quietly. All of this. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Zara finally spoke. Her voice carried the weight of authority Helena was only beginning to understand. Actually, Ms. Blackwood, I know exactly who I'm dealing with. The question is whether you do. The lounge fell silent except for the hum of air conditioning and the distant sound of aircraft engines. Flight 447 departed without its most volatile passenger. The real confrontation was about to begin. The silence stretched like a held breath. Helena's bravado cracked under Zara's steady gaze. Something fundamental had shifted in the room's power dynamics. Zara reached into her portfolio with deliberate precision. The movement commanded absolute attention from every phone camera, every pair of eyes in the lounge. She withdrew a burgundy leather credential case. Ms. Blackwood, Zara's voice carried the quiet authority of courtrooms and boardrooms. I am Dr. Zara Williams, Chief Safety Inspector for the European Aviation Authority. The badge gleamed under fluorescent lighting. Official seals, holographic security features, an expiration date 18 months in the future. Helena's face drained of color like water from a broken glass. I've been conducting a surprise customer service audit of Skyward Airlines, Zara continued. This incident has been illuminating. The lounge erupted. Cameras zoomed frantically. Rachel Martinez grabbed Tony's arm. Are you getting this? Tell me you're getting this. At Justice Seeker 2025's live stream exploded to 47,000 viewers. Comments flooded the screen faster than moderators could process them. Regulatory revenge began trending across 6 countries. Officer Park stepped back instinctively. Interfering with aviation authority operations was a federal offense. His radio crackled with urgent messages from airport administration. Helena's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. The tech executive who commanded $12.8 million budgets, who intimidated competitors and subordinates alike, stood frozen like a deer in headlights. This is impossible, Helena whispered. You were cleaning coffee. You were dressed like a normal passenger? Zara's smile held no warmth. Surprise audits work best when inspectors blend into typical customer scenarios. Sarah Kim, the travel blogger, felt vindication and terror in equal measure. She'd been right about recognizing Zara, but she'd also filmed the entire confrontation. Her career could either skyrocket or implode depending on how this story broke. Maya, halfway to Gate B12, received a text from her former boss. Emergency. Come back. Now. Maya deleted the message without responding. Helena's assistant had made the smart choice. Maya's resignation letter was already composed in her head. Due to irreconcilable differences regarding workplace conduct and professional ethics. Dr. Williams, Officer Park approached cautiously. Should I notify airport administration about your status? They've been informed, Zara replied. This audit was coordinated with Swiss aviation authorities 3 weeks ago. Helena found her voice, though it came out strangled. This is entrapment. Setup. You can't audit customer interactions by pretending to be someone else. Zara opened her portfolio. Documents spilled across a nearby table like evidence at a crime scene. Official letterhead, regulatory statutes, legal precedents. European Aviation Regulation 847.3, she read aloud. Safety inspectors are authorized to conduct undercover assessments of airline customer service protocols, staff training adequacy, and discrimination prevention measures. Rachel Martinez positioned herself for optimal camera angles. This was the story that would define her career. Dr. Williams, can you tell our viewers what this audit discovered? Zara's expression remained professionally neutral. I can confirm that Skyward Airlines customer service protocols are under comprehensive review. A preliminary report will be submitted to the European Aviation Authority on Monday morning. Helena's knees nearly buckled. Monday morning. 48 hours to salvage a career, a company, an entire airline's operating license. Tony, the cameraman, captured Helena's breakdown in excruciating high definition. The woman who'd thrown napkins at someone's feet now looked like she might collapse herself. You can't do this! Helena's voice rose to near hysteria. One incident, one misunderstanding. You can't destroy an entire company over one mistake. One incident? Zara's eyebrow arched with surgical precision. Ms. Blackwood, this was a systematic evaluation. What happened here was simply the culmination of a 3-week assessment period. The crowd leaned closer. Even passengers trying to ignore the confrontation found themselves drawn into the expanding circle of catastrophe. During my evaluation period, Zara continued, I documented 17 separate instances of discriminatory behavior by Skyward Airlines staff. Customer complaints filed with your company in the last 18 months total 847 discrimination-related incidents. Helena's world tilted on its axis. 847 complaints. She'd seen internal reports. Legal had briefed her on potential liability issues. But hearing the numbers spoken aloud, in public, with cameras rolling, your airline carries 2.1 million passengers annually, Zara stated. Market share of 23% in European budget travel. Current stock valuation of $340 million. Operating license renewal scheduled for review in 6 weeks. The precision of her knowledge was surgical. Devastating. Helena realized she wasn't just facing a discrimination allegation, she was facing someone who could end Skyward Airlines entirely. Dr. Williams, Rachel Martinez pressed, what are the potential consequences of a negative audit report? Fleet grounding pending compliance review. Operating license suspension. Mandatory retraining of all customer-facing personnel. Financial penalties ranging from $2.8 million to $15.6 million annually. Helena's phone buzzed with incoming calls. CEO Richard Stromberg. Board Chairman Wilhelm Kohler. Legal Department. Insurance Company. The vultures were circling before the corpse was cold. This was entrapment, Helena repeated desperately. You deliberately provoked this incident. Zara's smile turned predatory. Ms. Blackwood, I simply existed in a space you believed I didn't belong. Your response was entirely your choice. The live stream viewer count hit 73,000. #Skywater. Airlines was trending in 7 languages. Aviation industry blogs were picking up the story. Competitor airlines were probably already drafting press releases about their commitment to equality. Officer Park received orders through his earpiece. Full cooperation with EAA personnel. This is now a federal aviation matter. Helena's panic crystallized into desperate fury. I'll sue you. Personal defamation. Professional sabotage. I have lawyers. Good lawyers. I'm sure you do, Zara replied calmly. They'll probably advise you that aviation safety violations supersede individual employment disputes, but please, consult with them. Dr. Elizabeth Mueller's name appeared on Zara's phone screen. The director of European Aviation Authority was calling for a real-time briefing. Excuse me, Zara said to the crowd. I need to take this call. She answered in flawless German. The conversation lasted 3 minutes. Helena caught fragments. Systematic patterns, immediate intervention, full compliance review. When Zara ended the call, her expression had hardened into regulatory stone. Ms. Blackwood, Dr. Mueller has authorized immediate escalation of this case. Skyward Airlines will receive formal notification of audit findings within 6 hours. Helena's phone rang. CEO Richard Stromberg's face filled her screen, red with panic and rage. Answer it, Zara suggested quietly. He's probably wondering why his airline just became a regulatory priority. Helena's thumb hovered over the answer button. Taking the call meant facing consequences. Ignoring it meant facing consequences. There were no good choices left. She answered. Helena, what the hell is happening at Geneva Airport? Richard's voice carried clearly through the lounge's acoustics. Our legal department is fielding calls from every aviation regulatory body in Europe. There's been a misunderstanding, Helena began. A misunderstanding? Richard's voice pitched higher. We have a chief aviation inspector conducting live interviews about our discrimination policies on international television. Helena looked around the lounge. Cameras everywhere, phones recording from every angle. Her humiliation was being broadcast to millions of viewers in real time. I can fix this, she whispered into her phone. Richard's laughter held no humor. Helena, you are this. Emergency board meeting in 2 hours. Don't bother coming. The line went dead. Helena stood in the wreckage of her career, surrounded by witnesses to her professional execution. The woman she'd tried to humiliate watched with the patience of someone accustomed to seeing justice delayed, but not denied. Dr. Williams, Helena's voice cracked. Surely we can discuss this privately. Find some accommodation. Zara packed her documents with methodical precision. Ms. Blackwood, this audit began 3 weeks ago. It ends when Skyward Airlines demonstrates full compliance with European aviation equality standards. How long will that take? That depends entirely on your company's commitment to meaningful change. Helena felt the walls closing in. Her career, her reputation, her airline's survival, all hanging in the balance because she'd assumed a woman in casual clothes didn't belong in first-class spaces. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the room. 2 hours later, Skyward Airlines' emergency board meeting convened in a glass-walled conference room overlooking Geneva's financial district. 7 board members appeared via secure video link from London, Frankfurt, and Amsterdam. CEO Richard Stromberg paced like a caged predator. Helena sat alone at the far end of the mahogany table. No allies, no advocates, just legal counsel who'd arrived 30 minutes ago with damage control protocols and non-disclosure agreements. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard began, we are facing potential regulatory catastrophe. Dr. Zara Williams has submitted preliminary findings that could ground our entire fleet. The video screens showed faces ranging from panic to fury. Board chairman Wilhelm Kohler looked like he'd aged 5 years in 2 hours. How did we not know about this audit? Demanded Sarah Hartman, chief financial officer. Surprise inspections require coordination with corporate liaison departments. They coordinated with Swiss aviation authorities, Richard replied grimly. Not with us. That's the point of surprise audits. Helena's phone buzzed continuously. Reporters, competitors, former colleagues offering sympathy or seeking insider information. She'd powered it off after the 50th call. Dr. Williams entered the conference room at precisely 3:47 p.m. She carried the same leather portfolio, now accompanied by a tablet and recording device. Official. Implacable. Thank you for accommodating this emergency meeting, she said, settling into the chair opposite Helena. I understand time is crucial for all parties. Wilhelm Kohler leaned forward on his video screen. Dr. Williams, surely we can resolve this matter through established regulatory channels. Private consultation. Gradual compliance timelines. Zara opened her tablet. Charts, graphs, and statistical analyses filled the screen. Mr. Caller, Skyward Airlines received 847 discrimination complaints in the last 18 months. Industry average for comparable carriers is 73 complaints. The numbers hit the room like artillery shells. Helena felt every pair of eyes focusing on her. She'd been VP of operations during that entire period. That's a 1,260% increase over industry standard, Zara continued. Customer retention among minority passengers has declined 23% year over year. Social media sentiment analysis shows discrimination as the third most associated term with your brand. Richard Stromberg's face had gone pale. Dr. Williams, some of those complaints might be unfounded. Passengers sometimes misinterpret corporate policies. I reviewed all 847 cases personally, Zara interrupted. Documentation, witness statements, video evidence where available. 73% showed clear discriminatory patterns. Another 18% demonstrated inadequate staff training and diversity protocols. Helena found her voice. One incident shouldn't condemn an entire airline. My behavior doesn't represent company policy. Zara's gaze turned laser-focused. Ms. Blackwood, your behavior today was the culmination of systematic evaluation. During my 3-week assessment, I documented 17 separate incidents involving Skyward personnel. She touched her tablet. A video played on the conference room's main screen. Security footage from various airports. Different dates, different staff members. All showing variations of discriminatory treatment toward minority passengers. Munich Airport, March 3rd. Gate agent questions black passengers' first-class ticket validity 3 times. Same day, white passenger with identical ticket faces, no scrutiny. The board members watched in horrified silence. Frankfurt Airport, March 8th. Muslim family asked to step aside for additional screening despite having completed all security protocols. Delay causes them to miss their connection. Helena recognized the staff members, people she'd hired, trained, promoted. Zurich Airport, March 15th. Elderly Asian passenger told she probably wants the economy line when attempting to use business class check-in, despite holding appropriate documentation. Wilhelm Kohler interrupted. Dr. Williams, we had no knowledge of these specific incidents. Because your reporting systems are inadequate, Zara replied. Discrimination complaints are buried in general customer service metrics. No tracking of patterns, no corrective training protocols, no accountability measures. Richard Stromberg felt the walls closing in. What exactly are you recommending? Zara's expression remained neutral, professional. Complete overhaul of customer service training, implementation of bias awareness protocols, anonymous reporting system for discrimination incidents, quarterly third-party audits, zero-tolerance policy with immediate termination consequences. And if we refuse? Helena asked quietly. Fleet grounding pending compliance review, operating license suspension, $15.6 million in annual penalty assessments. Your insurance coverage becomes void under discrimination liability clauses. The conference room fell silent except for the hum of air conditioning and the distant sound of aircraft engines through soundproofed windows. Sarah Hartman pulled up financial projections on her screen. Dr. Williams, fleet grounding would cost us $2.8 million daily. We have 15,000 employees across 7 countries. The economic impact is precisely why these protocols exist, Zara finished. Aviation safety includes passenger dignity and equal treatment. This isn't negotiable. Richard made calculations in his head. Compliance costs versus regulatory penalties. Short-term expense versus long-term survival. There was only one viable choice. Dr. Williams, if we implement your recommendations immediately, what's the timeline for compliance review? Full implementation within 90 days. Initial progress assessment in 30 days. Comprehensive audit in 6 months. Zara's terms were non-negotiable. Ms. Blackwood's immediate termination is also required. Helena's blood turned to ice. You can't demand specific personnel decisions. That's beyond regulatory authority. Zara opened a thick folder. Legal statutes, precedent cases, regulatory guidelines, European Aviation Regulation 847.7. Personnel demonstrating discriminatory behavior pose safety risks to passenger welfare. Immediate removal is within EAA enforcement powers. Wilhelm Kohler saw the writing on the wall. Helena, I'm sorry. The board will vote on termination within the hour. You're sacrificing me to save the airline, Helena said bitterly. You sacrificed the airline to save your ego, Richard replied. The board's decision is unanimous. Helena looked around the table. No support, no sympathy, no allies left to defend her. 3 decades of airline industry experience destroyed by 30 minutes of public discrimination. Dr. Williams, she said quietly, what happens to me personally? That depends on your next employer's background check protocols, Zara replied. This incident will be documented in your professional file indefinitely. Helena realized the true scope of her consequences. Not just losing this job, losing any future jobs in aviation, possibly in any industry requiring customer interaction. The airline industry is small, Ms. Blackwood, Zara continued. People talk, videos circulate. Your behavior today will follow you. Richard Stromberg stood up. Dr. Williams, we accept your terms completely. Full compliance implementation begins immediately. Helena's termination is effective today. Excellent, Zara replied. I'll submit my preliminary recommendations by close of business. Full audit results will be delivered Monday morning. She packed her materials with surgical precision. The same methodical approach she'd used to clean up Helena's spilled coffee 3 hours earlier. One more thing, Zara said, pausing at the conference room door. My audit included customer service representatives, gate agents, flight attendants, and executive management. Ms. Blackwood wasn't the only problem. She was simply the most visible. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Other heads would roll. Other careers would end. This was just the beginning of Skyward Airlines' reckoning. Helena sat alone in the conference room after everyone left. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she watched planes taxi toward runways. Destinations she'd never reach, opportunities she'd never recover. Her phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. Skyward Airlines executive terminated following viral discrimination incident. The story was already writing itself. Her humiliation would be preserved in digital amber forever. Every future job interview, every background check, every Google search of her name. She'd thrown napkins at someone's feet and destroyed her own life in the process. The irony wasn't lost on her. For 30 minutes, she'd felt powerful, superior, in control. Now she understood what real power looked like. It was quiet, methodical, and absolutely devastating. 6 weeks later, Skyward Airlines looked like a different company. The transformation wasn't cosmetic, it was surgical. Helena Blackwood's termination made international headlines. Aviation Week featured her story as a cautionary tale about executive accountability. Her LinkedIn profile remained inactive. Job applications went unanswered. The airline industry's collective memory was long and unforgiving. Maya, Helena's former assistant, received 3 job offers within 10 days. Her decision to abandon Helena during the crisis was viewed as principled leadership. She accepted a position with Lufthansa's Diversity and Inclusion Department. It's fascinating, Maya told her new colleagues, how one moment of public accountability can reshape an entire corporate culture. Skyward Airlines implemented every reform Dr. Williams recommended. The changes weren't token gestures, they were comprehensive system overhauls. All 15,000 employees completed mandatory bias awareness training. The program cost $2.3 million but reduced discrimination complaints by 67% within 30 days. Customer satisfaction scores among minority passengers increased 34%. The anonymous reporting app, Skywatch, launched 3 weeks after Helena's termination. Employees could report discriminatory behavior without fear of retaliation. The first month generated 127 reports. Most involved unconscious bias. All received immediate investigation. Richard Stromberg, still CEO but now under board oversight, addressed shareholders via video conference. Our commitment to equality isn't just morally correct, it's economically essential. Discrimination costs us customers, revenue, and reputation. Stock prices recovered within 45 days. The market rewarded meaningful change with renewed investor confidence. Dr. Zara Williams became a case study in effective regulatory enforcement. Harvard Business School invited her to lecture on dignity in transportation. Her approach, undercover assessment followed by systematic reform, was adopted by aviation authorities across 12 countries. Real change requires real consequences, she told her Harvard audience. Corporate culture shifts when executives face personal accountability for discriminatory behavior. The video of Helena's airport breakdown became mandatory viewing in business ethics courses. Students analyzed decision-making under pressure, the cost of unconscious bias, and the power of quiet authority. Helena's story became a touchstone for justice-focused social media. These Black stories and real-life stories resonated with millions who'd experienced workplace discrimination. The hashtag #QuietPower generated over 400,000 posts sharing similar experiences. 6 months after the incident, Skyward Airlines received the European Aviation Authority's highest rating for equality and inclusion. The company that nearly lost its operating license became an industry leader in anti-discrimination protocols. New hiring practices emphasized cultural competency alongside technical qualifications. Management training included implicit bias recognition. Customer service representatives received quarterly refresher courses on respectful passenger interaction. The changes weren't perfect. Some employees resisted new protocols. Others left for competitors with less stringent equality standards. But the overall transformation was undeniable. "We're not the same company we were a year ago," admitted Sarah Hartman, the CFO. "That's exactly the point." Helena's replacement, Dr. Amara Okafor, brought 15 years of diversity consulting experience to Skyward's operations. Her first initiative established mentorship programs for underrepresented employees. Her second created advancement pathways based on merit rather than network connections. "Excellence has no color," Dr. Okafor told her management team. "But opportunity often does. Our job is changing that equation." The broader aviation industry took notice. Competitors rushed to audit their own practices before regulatory inspectors arrived unannounced. The Skyward effect rippled through European air travel, forcing systemic examination of discriminatory practices. Travel blogger Sarah Kim parlayed her eyewitness account into a book deal. Dignity at 30,000 Feet, How One Airport Incident Changed Aviation Forever, became a bestseller. Proceeds funded scholarships for minority students pursuing aviation careers. Officer David Park, the airport security guard, received commendations for his professional handling of the crisis. His body camera footage became training material for conflict de-escalation in regulatory situations. Even at Justice Seeker 2025, the TikTok user who live-streamed the original incident gained 2.3 million followers. Their platform became a clearinghouse for workplace discrimination stories and advocacy resources. The ripple effects extended beyond aviation. Other transportation industries, railways, shipping, public transit, implemented similar oversight protocols. Williams' regulatory model became the gold standard for enforcing equality through systematic accountability. Helena's story became a cautionary tale about the true cost of discrimination, not just for victims, but for perpetrators who underestimated the quiet power of institutional authority. The lesson was clear. In an interconnected world where every moment could be recorded and every bias could be exposed, dignity wasn't just morally necessary, it was economically essential. True power, it turned out, wasn't about dominating others. It was about creating systems where everyone could thrive. These touching stories reminded millions that change was possible, that accountability was achievable. That justice, while sometimes delayed, could arrive with devastating precision. The transformation of Skyward Airlines proved that even entrenched corporate cultures could evolve when faced with real consequences. Progress had a price. Helena paid it. The industry benefited from her sacrifice.